Hey guys, welcome to this week's Sunday Spin, where we take the music that we're spinning this week. I'm Terry with Riot Media, and I'm here with my friend Jesse with Punk Rock and Cocktails. Jesse, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Absolutely, I'm happy to be here.
So a little bit different. Normally I do have musicians on the show, but much like me, you're not a musician. You do something that's very different, something that I absolutely love in the scene. Much like me, you are a fan. So what is it that you do?
Yeah, so grew up in the punk scene. I'm a lifelong music fan, and it's something that's always been very, very important to me and shaped who I am as a person. After a career in radio during my 20s, I started bartending and managing bars and really got into the cocktail scene. So I decided to pay tribute to the world of punk rock in the best way that I knew how, and I did a cocktail book that's a companion book with different albums that are important to me. I call it Punk Rock and Cocktails, 20 albums that are very influential to me in my lifetime. And I write about the band, the album, why they matter to me, personal stories, and I create an original cocktail inspired by that band and kind of give you a step-by-step rundown of how to make them a home.
That's pretty cool. Now, you've written book one, and book one is currently out now. And if you want to go pick it up, make sure you do so. But now you are currently working on book number two. Now, book number two is coming out when?
So I have my book launch party scheduled for Labor Day. And then from there, I'm going to be going on a tour of the Midwest and East Coast. So I think everything will be finalized probably by mid-August, but it's going to be available on Labor Day.
Now, can you hold up that book again, just so we can, because I love the idea that the book is like shaped as a vinyl cover, like, like a sleeve. And you pretty much have, and we've seen the book before, you've shown me, but like the inside is, your story, and it has the band inside, but then on the other side is the cocktail and how you do your recipe. And, what a cool tribute. It's no surprise that drinking is part of punk culture. I'm sure many of us can definitely tell a story about how, we went to a bar at a show, maybe some greasy dive or something like that. And I'm really stoked that you put something out like that. But, can you kind of share maybe not the whole story, but like a very small Coles Notes of maybe one of the stories that may have influenced you?
Yeah, well, so first of all, there was always the idea of, going to a punk show. I'm not drinking fancy cocktails, and I'm drinking a tall boy and a shot of something. But I'm not, a gatekeeper for the scene, and I've never, subscribed to the thought that punk rock has to be a certain way. You have to look a certain way, or act a certain way, or dress a certain way. It's really just, for me, being true to who you are as an individual. And this is something that's important to me. And I wanted to kind of take it and flip it a little bit and show that, you can be punk rock and you can like nice cocktails, or you can be punk rock and you can like domestic beer, whatever makes you happy. There's room for all of it. And, funnily enough, one of the stories, in the book is when I went to go see the Bouncing Souls and the Menzingers some years ago, and I'm up front with my tall boy, enjoying the show. The Bouncing Souls go on 2 or 3 songs in. This kid stage dove off the stage, hit me right in the head. I still have a scar right here.
Oh my God.
Busted me open, and I stumble over to the bar, right? And I remember specifically the bartender yelling at me for like, "Hey man, you can't bleed on the bar." I was like, I just need some medical help, please. I need to, So I go backstage and I end up running into the Menzingers, and they're like just fascinated by the gash on my head. It was just, I made it back out. I sit down. I finally found my buddy, and he's like, "Here, have a drink of this." So he gives me a shot, and he says it's going to help me feel better. I take the drink, and he's like, "How do you feel?" I'm like, "I feel okay." He goes, "Good," because I had no idea what was going to happen after you took that shot, because I was clearly concussed. So I incorporate that story and the spirit that I used, that I drank at that time. I use that in the cocktail for the Bouncing Souls, and the Menzingers are in it as well, but that's a different story. But that was just, it's you gotta have the personal connection to these bands. That's why I chose the bands that I did, because they're all meaningful to me. And I reached out to a band member or management or the record label. I got permission to use everybody in here, so they're all on board. And that's really what I think makes it kind of fun. So you learn a little bit about me. You learn a little bit about the band if you don't know who they are, because there are some really well-known bands, but also some lesser-known bands, and a fun cocktail to go along with it, and some scars along the way too.
That's funny. I can only. Oh man, the stories I have, like the battle wounds, really, it's crazy.
Yeah.
How it just happened. I actually went to Propaganda 2 weeks ago and I got nothing. I was kind of disappointed because I was like kind of checking myself out the next day. I'm like, I should be getting more. Maybe I'm getting old. That's kind of what we're all getting old. But
I stand a little bit further in the back these days. That's what happens.
Yeah, I was right up front the whole time, just pressed up against the bar. It was one time where I couldn't breathe for like 10 seconds and I was like, but then that was it. I've
been there. If the mood strikes me, I'll come out of retirement and I still jump up front from time to time.
I love it. But I certainly wish you huge success with the second book. It sounds so much fun. I can't wait to check it out and read it. But yeah, we are also here to find out what you are listening to. So what are you listening to this week?
All right. So this past winter, Frank Turner came out with a new album, FTHC, Frank Turner Hardcore, and that's always kind of been his logo, if you will. He adopts the New York hardcore logo, makes it into his own thing, and he finally released an album with that title. It has been one that I just have had on repeat over and over and over again. It deals with so many issues that I think as a society we all relate to, and I know personally for me, dealing with all of the depression and the anxiety that came along with quarantine and the pandemic and being away from everything that means so much to us, and dealing with relationships of friends who you have lost, and all of these different things, and it's such. I connected to it emotionally right out of the gate, and it's actually, this album is going to be in my next book as well, because I thought that I was going to go completely different route with all new artists, but this, I had to go back to Frank Turner again because this is so meaningful to me, and it rocks. I mean, there were some songs like right out of the gate, boom, hit you right over the head with it. And the deluxe version is what I have, and then you get some acoustic versions of some of these songs that are really, beautiful renditions as well. So it's the full package, I think, with this one.
Yeah, I really couldn't agree more. So much so that Frank Turner Hardcore was also my pick this week. And a big reason, it's his nice solo album. It came out in February. It's about 20 songs. I did get the deluxe version. So it's 20 songs, 1 hour and 5 minutes. It's probably one of the longest records I have. I'm so used to listening to Frank as a folk singer, and to have him really turn it up to this level, I absolutely fell in love with it because it's more of a style that I gravitate to. You're absolutely correct with the topics. He talks about religion, family, community, mental health, drug abuse, being brought up as through, his mom and not having a dad. And, that song Fatherless, holy shit, does that ever hit, the heartstrings. I was lucky I was brought up with two parents. So, part of me just really sympathizes. And, if you know Frank's story background too, and his addiction struggles and his mental health issues, you really can get behind something like that. Opens up with Non-Servian. I thought it was really right off the hop, highlighted what the rest of this album was going to be like. It was hard. It absolutely brought the emotions out. I really found myself just lost in the lyrics. But then you have that working class boy that comes in there too. And you have that folk piece that comes in, and a little bit of that metal piece, a little bit of that hardcore piece. He really mixed this up completely. No two songs are alike. If you do get to the end and you have the 3 acoustic versions, Punches was definitely my favorite one because it really did connect as to how I'm feeling, especially right now, especially after the pandemic. It's no surprise to anybody that kind of feels like we're all struggling right now. And, I really hope that we come out of this okay. Definitely we need to talk about it more. We definitely need to share how we're feeling, if that means, reaching out to a friend, reaching out to a crisis line, reaching out to anybody. You know, if you need it, go get it. I absolutely recommend that you do listen to this album. If you feel sometimes like I do that you need something even harder, Frank Turner actually does Mongol Horde. If you haven't heard his hardcore band, like hardcore band, you need to. There's a few songs out right now, and wow, I got a chance to see him when I was on Salty Dog, and completely blew me away how hard it was, how raw it was, how emotional it was. Frank has this way of just tuning into you in a way that, you know, most musicians can't. And I think that's what really sets Frank from everybody else, is that connection piece. It just, you feel like you've known this guy forever. You feel that, you know, you can actually go up to this guy and have a conversation, and he's going to completely get what you're trying to tell him. And with that, since we both picked the same album, I would like to say congratulations to Frank Turner Hardcore. You have earned the Riot Squad seal of approval. It's fantastic. We only hand this out, like, I think this is maybe my 4th time throughout the 2 seasons of the show that we actually put this out. So Frank, congratulations. You don't really get much for it, but you get my love and admiration. So that's something, right? It's something. I think it's something.
It counts. That counts.
Yeah. But, you know, congratulations again. And yeah, I guess with that, it brings us to our shout out portion. Who are you shouting out today?
So I'm going to shout out Punkerton Records and the super rad punk festival they're putting on called Hell is Ohio this month, June 17th and 18th, 2 days. Tons of great bands there. I'll be there slinging copies of my book too. Punk Rock Saves Lives, I think, will be there. You're talking about somebody doing great things with mental health and for the community. Those guys are amazing. So Hell is Ohio, June 17th, 18th. It's at Swine City Brewing. And if you're in the area, you come on out. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, and the tickets for the 2 days, incredibly cheap. I can't, you know, I think it's like $30 for both days.
Like, 30 for 2 days. Can't beat
that. It's crazy. You can't beat that. And make sure you go check it out. Go support. You're going to have a great time. Some bands I already am very familiar with, which brings us to my music video. I actually picked Chaser, Good Times. Chaser is playing at Camp Punksylvania. Mike was with us a couple weeks ago. I am so excited. You know, from Punkerton, we're going to be seeing, there's Tiger Sex. They were on Camp Punksylvania last year. This year we got Some Kind Nightmare. I'm very, very, very excited to see them. Cannot wait. But make sure, if you do want tickets to Camp Punksylvania, camping right now is sold out, but we still have our weekend passes and we have our general daily passes, and we still haven't announced everything yet. So make sure you check it out, www.camppunksylvania.com. Jesse, thank you so much for joining me this week. I'm really stoked to have you. I wish you all the success with your book. And
thank you so much.
And with that, we will see you guys next week.